Ali Fathollah-Nejad, who joins me now from Berlin. He is a German-Iranian political scientist and analyst. Ali, good to have you on the show. I'm going to speak frankly. I mean, some would say that Brussels is backing down in the face of what is, in effect, hostage-taking by Tehran. I mean, some would even go as far as saying that the Belgian government has cut a deal with, quote, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism.
Well, I mean, the treat or what has happened now in Belgium and the Belgian decision is not good news for the rule of law for very obvious reasons. This kind of idea to have those convicted to be to be going to prison in the other country, it's not in line with core principles of the rule of law, given also the absence of the rule of law in Iran itself. So this is, I think, quite a sad day for Europe, for the rule of law. And I think the Belgians could have chosen a different path toward putting pressure on the Iranian authorities to release their citizen or their citizens. And on the other hand, very obviously, it is going to encourage the continuation of Iran's hostage diplomacy that is basically based on the idea to jail dual nationals or citizens of Europe in Iran, to have them as a bargaining leverage to put pressure on their Western governments so that Iran can benefit from such an action, either politically or financially. And of course, we have seen, some examples of this in the past as well.
Ali, you said it's not a good day for the rule of law. I mean, I want to ask you if you think that this will embolden or empower the Iranian regime to sort of take more hostages, because Iran, quite frankly, does have a history of using foreign hostages as political pawns.
This is true, and it is very likely that this decision is going to embolden, as I said, the continuation of this hostage diplomacy. So this is also not spelling, some good news for the future. And this is certainly emboldening those in Iran who have been favoring such an approach. And instead, I think the Belgians could have chosen a different path, which is to try to initiate at least a European-wide initiative, because as you know, there are a lot of dual nationals, many Iranian Europeans in jail in Iran. So Belgium is not the only country that is concerned about its citizens in Iran. There have been jailed on dubious charges in many cases. Such a European-wide initiative could have, garnered enough support to put pressure on the Islamic Republic. So this would have been, in my view, an alternative path, and I'm not sure if the Belgian government has contemplated about it in a serious fashion.
Why don't you think that they actually sort of entertain the idea, at least finding an alternative way to release the or secure the release of people like Oliver van de Kasteel?
Well, I mean, obviously they're concerned about the well-being of their citizens in Iran, and this is, according to the statements that we've read from politicians there, that was their major aspiration to go for such a deal because they didn't want to abandon their citizen in jail. And of course, it's a very tricky situation that they have been finding themselves, but I think the decision lacked some strategic foresight. Because it threatens to be utterly counterproductive, not to halt Iran's hostage diplomacy, but actually to embolden it and to encourage its continuation. And all of this, of course, is regardless of the specific incident of this case, of Assadi's case in Belgium, an Iranian diplomat somehow connected to the intelligence services that was, planning an attack on a, gathering near Paris of an Iranian opposition cult. It's a totalitarian cult, so we don't have to have any sympathy for them. But of course, planning a terrorist attack is nowhere near acceptable. So I think, in a nutshell, this is not sending a good signal to all human rights defenders, and they are concerned with those cases.
Okay, Ali Fathollah-Nejad, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour.